Good day. Here we have 4 amazing people, and we're talking about an intro to self-care. We have Rach. Sorry, we have Cassie, Rosie, Warwick, and Rach. Woo! Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about the body basics. I'll let you guys take this away.
Oh wait, great. Cool. First of all, I just wanted to say hi to everyone and kind of introduce ourselves. My name is Kathy, or Geeky Kathy, and as much as I can be chaotic, I'm assuming I feel like there should be a little bit of functionality as well. So we talk about self-care. We'll get through that. I don't know how much of that I do myself, but I know that it's important. And I've had great chance to work with almost everyone here. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself.
So hi, I'm Rosie. I work at Safe in Our World, which is a mental health charity specifically for the video games industry, and we work to do a lot of eliminating stigma around mental health, but also trying to actually do some tangible change within companies who work within the industry, training and just general awareness. So that is me, and I've worked with everyone here as well. Sorry, Warwick. But I'm very happy to be here. So.
I'm happy to be here as well. But yeah, I'm Warwick. If anyone asks, I've never played League of Legends. Warwick's my name, just in case you have questions about League of Legends. But yeah, I'm a part streamer. I do variety and very much focus on mental health and self-care, which makes sense.
Hey everyone, so I am Rach and I am from the Samaritans. If you've not heard of Samaritans, they're the UK's leading mental health charity. It's a 24/7, 365 days of the year listening service. So whatever it is you're going through, whether it's mental health struggles, loneliness, isolation, money issues, just whatever might be weighing on you, there is a Samaritan at the other end of the phone, email, web chat, loads of different options to just listen and help you through it and support you. We've got loads of advice on our website about looking after yourself, looking after your communities, looking after your friends. So do check us out. We've got loads of tips and advice to help you out. And we're really glad to have everybody here today. We've worked with all these wonderful people on this panel. Just to talk to you about self-care and how to look after yourself and your communities.
And obviously, you lot are gonna get the joy of, I can describe fun. Fun is literally the best chaotic story of hostness. So I'm excited for her to host it. And
I'm not calm today.
Yeah.
I'm on my calm.
You fell over within 5 minutes.
Yeah, you got to fall off the stage.
5 minutes of being around Cassie. And then okay, so body basics in terms of self-care. I'm guessing that's how you look after yourself, how to self-soothe, and how to feel better within yourself. Obviously this isn't about me, so I'll let you guys take it away.
What do you think the tips though?
So with body basics, basically just what to talk about how important it is to look after your body in order to help look after your mind. So it's really important, especially when you're streaming, is spending a lot of time at a desk, at a screen, on a computer. Unless you're an IRL streamer and you're out and about, but those backs are pretty hefty and can weigh a bit, so still need to look after yourself. So it's just really important to be thinking about your body as part of this. So hydration is a massive, massive part of mental health. So it's all those basic things like making sure you stay hydrated, making sure you're active, you take a bit of time out, get away from the screen, go outside, get some fresh air, some desk yoga even, whatever it is that gets you kind of moving and thinking about your body as part of your mental health journey. They very much go hand in hand, and a huge part of that. So for me personally, dancing is my go-to. I love to get up, dance around for a few minutes, and it makes such a difference, boosting my mood as much as making sure I'm physically healthy as well.
So I would say one of the key things whenever I want you to lose weight has always been how I look. But after lockdown, yes, it gave me a lot of extra to eat, but also it gave me that COVID weight that I did not want. So I think shifting to start doing exercise and incorporating it in a fun way, because it was really hard to make that shift of having no structure and just being in the house for 3 like years and not doing anything, so trying to like remember to like walk, use like gesturons for like 5s, and like going back into the gym, like lifting, doing it and stuff, isn't necessarily just an aesthetic thing. It's about like getting moving and feeling like like even though you're a gamer, you don't have to be like, you know,
Just sat there.
I don't know what the belief was. And also like hydration. I understand like my hydration used to be like just sitting there and like burping from the Prosecco and maybe like some like whilst I was streaming. But like doing that because I couldn't do anything afterwards. So, you know, self-care and love and things like that.
Yeah, I also want to add sleep is really important, and it's hard to do, especially if you're like really hype about something and you know you don't want to rest because you're so excited. Like, this is one thing that we always have in common every single time I talk to you. We leave the call absolutely buzzing to do some next project that is way out of scope and we don't have time for or the energy for, and it probably doesn't happen. But like, back to the original point on sleep, I think it's important to try and counteract your productivity with actually resting, and like there's this constant thing around guilt and resting as well, and that you feel bad that you aren't being productive for whatever reason, and there's that constant like grind culture that I dislike. And just listening to your body and knowing when you need to stop is just as important as knowing when you need to get up and go as well.
Yeah, I think for me, like, breaks was very hard for me in streaming because it's very much like you're in the zone, as it were, you're playing a game, you're doing stuff. 6 minutes, 6 hours ago, you've not got off from the chair. And it's like, that's not good long term. Even short term is not good, but long term can affect you. So it's like, for me, have scheduled breaks, so I don't want to chat for many hours. So like, first hour in, I'll have a break, I'll force myself to get up to rest, get a drink and stuff, just to sort of get up and then go back, and then schedule breaks from that. I may not feel like I need a break, but having those breaks in place means that I am getting up there. So rather than get to a point where I'm needing a break, I've already taken that break to rest, like just shorter, like 5-10 minutes or something.
I feel like as streamers, like we can hyperfixate for hours and hours. We can sit there for 6 hours and then be like, oh my gosh, I've not got up, I've not eaten, I've not done anything for myself. So it's so important, like Warwick says, to have those breaks, to do your like daily mental health walk, to exercise, to eat well, like even like meal prep your meals, just so they're there. Because if not, you're either gonna overeat at the wrong time or undereat just throughout the whole day. So I feel like it's really important just to stay on top of like the health thing, drinking a lot of water. Like on Twitch you've got like, the hydration thing.
Yeah.
And like my chat is always like hydrate. I'm like, oh, genius, how much Twitch to drink? And that brings on to like having the right headspace. And like I feel like in the streaming world, not in the streaming world, it's important to do all these things that get us in the right headspace, which brings us on to like how do you get into the right headspace in terms of like with your work and streaming.
I think Warwick, you were going to take this one, yeah?
Yeah, I can do this. So the right headspace pretty much is getting that right headspace. Again, I've been guilty before in the past where there's that grind mentality where you're forcing yourself to stream because you feel like you have to. If you don't stream, you miss out on opportunities where really you're hurting yourself either mentally or physically. And so it's about not forcing yourself to stream. You're not feeling right. You know, you may not feel right one day. It might be something very small, where you're just not feeling right, or something else. But give yourself that time to go, actually, no, I'm going to rest. We understand that it's hard as content creators to take that time away because it's that guilt where you take time out and like, that's it, you know. But for yourself, you need to look after yourself and you need to be in that right headspace to be able to be there with your communities because they don't want to see you struggling and forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do potentially. And also just like tackle, like again with like that pressure of taking time away. The algorithm is there, it's always going to be there, it's always going to be on our minds, but if you force yourself to keep going, you'll get to a point where you physically not go any further, and you find you're taking a longer break because it's reinforced rather than on your terms.
And just to add to what Warwick's saying there is all about like not being in the right headspace before you start streaming. It's also okay at mid-stream if you're like, actually, no, I'm really not feeling this. This isn't working. It's just not right. You can stop. Like, chat will totally understand. They want to see you happy and healthy and thriving. It's not entertaining for anybody to watch you suffer. So if you do, it's a really guilty thing to be like, oh, I'm ending stream earlier than I planned. Like I said, I would be on until this time. But that's okay. Like if you need to like stop, step away. Like actually today, guys, I just can't do this. It's just not happening. We'll come back. We'll try another day. That's okay, and just having that confidence in yourself to like, actually, I can step away, and you're still going to be there, and still going to support me. Just give yourself that permission. Like, we're giving you that permission. Like, you can stop when you need to.
I think it helps having a community or people around you who understand that, because then you don't feel as guilty. Like, you want to see succeed, you want to look after yourself, and having people around you makes you feel like you can take that time away, even though you are allowed to. Having people close to you who understand that as well helps you feel that you don't feel as guilty about it. Like Ray said, you can, if you don't feel it after an hour or two, you go, you know what, that's okay, and I'll try again another day. And having people support you, want to look after you in the community, can do so good for you.
I agree. I think like it gives me a sense of relief just to be honest. Like if you feel like you can be honest about how you're feeling, or if you're not doing so hot, just like I do this not just like within content, but also just in my day-to-day. Like if I'm on a work call with my colleagues and I'm just like, hey, I'm really anxious today. I don't know why. I had a panic attack yesterday, like I'm just not feeling it. And they're like, it's fine, no worries. Like it's nice that they know that I'm struggling, so they don't, like press me, or if they don't have to question if I'm not quite myself. But it also makes me feel better because I don't have to like act as if nothing's wrong. So that's something that's been huge for me as well.
I just I think when you're in the streaming space, one of the things that throws off people, and a lot of the time in real life when you're creators, they always feel like they're not doing enough. They feel like, oh, they're never going to get seen, and they see other people getting other opportunities, and they're like, I work this hard, I stream this amount of time, I'm not going to do this, how do I get that as well? And I think there's a lot of pride as well, like, you don't want to be seen as like asking someone so they think like you're just using them for favours. I think it's really, everyone kind of feels like that. Like at least having like a few people that you can be honest with, like, okay, I'd like to do this, I don't know how to do this, or like being open. A lot of people that get into meetings are happy to answer questions, and I think that makes you feel a bit less like, oh, you're in this thing where you're never going to be able to achieve things. Also looking at other people's progress or what they're doing is one of the biggest things that this is with the mental, like, oh, I've been streaming for this amount of time, I haven't got like partner, I haven't got this partnership, etc. You don't necessarily know what everyone's like path is or what your own is. I'm not like arguing about like, oh, there's something your own, but I just think like there's the things that you're gonna do, and looking at other people's like successes make you feel like you're not doing enough, but most of the time you are. So I think it's less like having to stream all the time and more like taking a step back and being like, what can I do so I still enjoy it? Especially people that are like, I'm on the grind now, and then it's like, I don't know, streaming for 18 hours and then you start to hate it. And that's what I did when I first started streaming. And I had to take a step back and be like, I'm literally hating it. So I did less, and then I got to enjoy more and engage in the community in a different way, because we all started off with like, oh, we're playing games, and then you started seeing what people can do and where you can go. So being able to have, I would say at least like 2-3 people that you can be honest with, be like, look, this is knocking my confidence, this is making me feel like this, what do you think? And I know that feels like hitting yourself in the face of being like open, but you just got to do that thing.
I think you'd be surprised how, when you're open to people, how people understand and feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
I feel like no one posts their else. Like everyone's always posting how great they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and they're forgetting that they've like sent 100 emails to 100 different companies, and they've got 99 no's but that one yes.
Yeah.
So we're constantly comparing ourselves to everyone else, and really we should just be like concentrating on our own self and our own like inner headspace and how we are. And the streaming thing for hours. I don't know how people do it. I've tried it, and I was like, no, I can't do it And I feel like happier, and your community are also going to be happier that you're happier.
Yeah.
And also, if you're feeling down on stream, you should just say. I used to mask and be like, oh, I'm really happy, I'm the best mood ever. And now I can just be like, guys, I'm having a really bad day, I'm in the worst mood, deal with it. and they do. So yeah.
The going live tweet. Hey everyone, come with me.
Just try and cheer you up. The next one is knowing your limits and setting your boundaries, which I think is so important, especially because you're there behind the computer, so are you. So anyone can say whatever they want to you, so it's important from the start to set boundaries before you get like obsessed and stuff with anything like that. So yeah.
100%. I think often, just kind of backing off what you've just said, is that people forget that you're a person behind the screen, and they'll just be like, just saying all sorts of stuff, and they're like, oh, it's not going anywhere, but it is. And so setting boundaries as part of that, and just being very clear up front with yourself, with your mods, with your community, as what is acceptable, what is inappropriate, and like actually sticking by it is so valuable, because it is so hard, especially when you're just first starting out, to actually take those boundaries and be like, I'm setting it and I'm not like budging, like I'm not just going to let it go and let it slide one time, because I feel like I've lost a viewer or whatever. Like, it is more important to have viewers that respect you and your boundaries and your just you as a person, rather than people have like tons of viewers but no one really cares about you, right? Like I 100% do this, try and do this across all platforms as well, not just Twitch. Like Twitter is a huge one for me. I have a lot of people DMing me about my job, which is fine, but I don't respond when it's not working hours. I try to ask if they can email me, like even just like little things like that sound very obvious, and it is, but like that is setting a boundary in a way, because people then know not to expect you to respond at 11 o'clock at night, for example, or like in the middle of the day, or just literally all the time. And so I think having that time that is yourself to yourself, and like not constantly giving everything of yourself away, is huge. In terms of limits, I mean, everyone has their own limits, and it's up to you to kind of understand where yours stop. But also, you know, you're not doing this by yourself, and I think that's what mods are also there for as well, because they can keep an eye out on you, like they're there to help you. And I think it's okay to let other people, you know, just try and support you as well. You don't have to do it by yourself. So.
Yeah, I think it is hard, especially when you start that you want to please everyone. You know, you don't want to set a boundary that might lose a viewer, because you think that one viewer will get you where you want to go. But if you don't set those boundaries from the very beginning, they will snowball into something that you can't stop. You know, suddenly you open up a community where you don't want it to be there because you didn't put a boundary set from the beginning, or you didn't enforce it. So it is hard to set boundaries, but the sooner you do it, the easier it is, and then you can just set by it. And sometimes boundaries can change. You might not know your limits straight away. Things develop, things change, but you have to stick to them, because if you don't, there will be people who will, you know, take that and run with it, and you will be in a worse place because of it.
Yeah. And just because someone gives you money does not give them rights to access you at all times or to treat you differently. So please don't feel as though that's something that should be another barrier, because I know obviously financial well-being is a huge part of that. And saying no to someone who is supporting you financially is scary, but also you are important. So you can't let people bully you into, you know, losing who you are and losing your boundaries as well.
You definitely shouldn't feel guilty about setting your boundaries, because that can be quite a difficult one, especially if you're coming in and maybe talking about like mental health, how they're struggling, maybe bordering into like trauma dumping, things like that. You're kind people. You've turned up to a panel about self-care. You generally are going to want to be a caring individual. It's okay to say no, and to tell people like, actually, this isn't the space for this isn't the right time. Like, you are allowed to do that and be guilt-free about it. So an example I use with a lot of people is we did a Samaritan stream for World Prevention Day a couple of years back, and we had one troll that came in and said to us, why aren't you talking about cancer? Yeah, because we're a mental health charity, that's what we're here for. So you don't care about people with cancer? No, we care about people with cancer. That's, yeah, it's ridiculous, really. It's like, we do care about people with cancer, we care about people's mental health, but that's not what we're here to talk about. And they kept trying to double down, and like, this is not the place. And it was like, right, we're banning you from our chat, which feels really wrong as a charity to like ban somebody from a chat in a conversation about mental health. But they weren't helping the conversation. And we needed to have that boundary, both as an organisation and as the people who were streaming and looking after them and our chat. And being able to do that guilt-free and go, actually, you know what, this is not the right person for this space, this is not the right conversation, and not feeling guilty about that is such a key thing. So again, we're all here giving you permission to say no to people and hold those boundaries because
For any,
to do it.
for any
Yeah.
reason, you can ban, even might be the smallest thing to one person. If you don't get a good vibe for whatever reason, you are entitled to ban it because it's, at the end of the day, it's your space. It's what you want to make it. So don't, again, the guilt will always be there, but know that you are in the right to set those limits, those boundaries, whatever they may be.
When we talk about boundaries, I think it's a lot easier for me to set boundaries with people I don't know or that I don't care about. But as like someone that's a bit of a people pleaser, I'm always like, oh, I don't want to like disrupt things or like rock the boat. And also when it comes to, like, people don't really talk about that so much with brands as well, and like setting your limits when you start working with brands and like they're constantly like giving you like a key and you don't want that people feel so entitled. Like you start seeing them working with other creators and they offer them like opportunities and you start thinking like, okay, is it because I'm willing to do things like that other people didn't? And I started to like put my foot down and be like, it's not that I expect everything, but like give equal access to opportunity. And that's one of the things that it's a bit scary to do sometimes because you're like literally putting yourself forward to be like upsetting someone that could stop opportunities coming towards you. But you have to do that, otherwise you'll never get out of that and be a little bit what you would give advice to someone else. You need to put it in yourself. There's so much stuff that I tell other people to do that I don't apply to my own self. And when it comes to my community, so someone came to troll me and my chat was being so toxic that they felt sorry for me and started defending me from the chat. And I think like, I feel like I can joke like that with my community. Like if someone else was to come in, like that's over familiar and you can't talk to me the same way that like people that have been in my chat for 3 years would be. And that's where I would like to put like boundaries in and say to people, and also don't send me pictures of yeah.
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's why it's important to like prep your mods.
Yeah.
You get so many people that come in just to like either hate or annoy you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know what they're doing, they know what they're doing is wrong, but they just literally don't care at all. And I think with talking to your mods, having that discussion with your mods is really important. But also, you can get toxic mods too. I don't know if any of you have had this, but like personally, I'm not going to give you my whole story. But I've had like a couple of mods that I've had to eventually ban from my entire Twitch community because they turned like toxic and obsessive, and they'll ban anything. And I feel like it's important to set boundaries as well with your mods too. So I don't know how you prep your mods, but I'm about to find out.
Don't want anyone that wants to speak to me, like, well, no one. Like, someone comes in and they say hi, and then, we can't run. And like, I can wrap it up. So yeah, that's one of the key things. And two, like, having clear, like, rules about what you, like, I think, like, the more that you work, I'm not appropriate, but I'm not disrespectful to people. Most of the things that I'm inappropriate about are things I like jokes to myself. I'd never target someone and I'd never do anything that I'd get banned for. Yeah. So I like to joke about, but I never want to make anyone feel attacked. And I think people need to know that line when you're in the stream. And also can that make people feel uncomfortable. I think you can make ridiculous jokes and without being disrespectful, and that's keeping your mods to know. Follow your mods if you don't need to. I don't think that they're representing you as well. So when people are like, oh, I didn't know that, they're literally a representation for you in the community as well. And so that's why it's really key.
If you have that mod in your Twitch chat, you see that mod.
Yeah, no.
They're out. Like I've had people like before see my mods be like a bit toxic, and they just left and then they came back. And so if your mods are toxic, they your chat aren't going to want to be in your chat.
And I'd really recommend as a way to try and handle that is like debriefing after your streams. So if anything difficult comes up, it's a really good chance to decompress, to talk about it like, as a team, to talk through anything that's been triggering or difficult, but also it's a chance to like, talk about how modern decisions have been handled, and if you are keeping the community on track and that everybody's kind of following the rules and the guides that you've set in the right way, and it just keeps everybody kind of like, in the right mindset. Because people get lax. They get used to doing things and they maybe don't like keep up to date with exactly what you're wanting. So like a regular just check in about, okay, yeah, this was really cool. Wasn't sure about that. I maybe wouldn't have banned that, or actually that probably should have been banned quicker. It just helps keep everybody on the same page, and also makes everybody feel like more part of it. Because again, they're a representation of you and your brand, but they're also part of your team. Like you couldn't do without them. So it's both ways.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I think mods are an extension of you as a streamer, as your community.
Yeah.
You know, the chat will see yourself as a streamer, but also the mods. If you have mods that aren't in the same values as yourself and the community, the chat will see that, and they will either decide to leave or they will react negatively to that. And you know, things can happen with mods. You can bring someone as a mod and you realise actually they weren't the right fit, and things change. But it's about dealing with that when it comes to it, but just making sure from the very beginning you set like the boundaries, the rules for yourself, and also with the mods to know this is what I want. I want to communicate. This is what we're going to be doing, and work with your team. Because at the end of the day, mods are there to support you, support the community. And if they can't do that, then they're not really doing what they need to do.
Yeah, and just for me, like, it's important to have your mods, because when you're trying to stream a game, talk to your chat, be entertaining, and you've got someone like constantly throwing hate at you, and you have to then go and take your time out and ban that person, it can like throw your stream off too. So I feel like it's important to actually have mods, and it's quite hard as like a new streamer to get a mod, to be fair. Get someone to help you out and just be like, can you watch over my chat and help, and just, you know, it's quite hard to do that. So if you can't do that, there is like methods on Twitch that have certain words you can block, and you can have, I think it's like, is it auto mod? Yeah, auto mod, you can use that, so that's also really, really helpful. And for me, after I stream, sometimes I just feel like, I just want to like have a nice bath and relax, and that's where post-stream decompression comes into everything. And for me, after I stream, I actually just have a bath, eat whatever food that I want, maybe go for a walk and like cuddle my dogs. What do you guys do?
I've only done a couple of streams because I was like, I just want to test this out and see. Like, I work with a lot of content creators, I'm looking at the sound. My first one did a 4-hour challenge, and oh my god, it was exhausting. Made probably the rookie error straight away of just going like hardcore, and I just had a nap after. And honestly, it was the most refreshing thing. Not generally an napper, but it was just that moving away from the screen, not seeing it, and just taking myself into a different space. I found really, really helpful. And not like being in this, if you can, obviously that's a privilege, like not everybody has the space to walk away from their stream setup. You might be in the same room as like your bed, but if you can, I think a change of location in any way, shape or form is a really good way to like get yourself out of one mindset and into the next mindset.
I feel like, I don't know if this is good advice to be like, I literally come on stream after playing the game and then go and play another game. But there's some games that when you play with the community, you have to be like engaging, and you have to like, you can't, I wouldn't like struggle to enjoy the same. Whereas like I love Elder Scrolls Online, and I used to play like Warwick and all that. And they're not games that I like wanted to play on the stream. They're like games that I just wanted to like be able to grind and have fun with. And I think they're like personal to me. So, and also because I'm a gamer, I don't think it's like let me have my game. And I actually like I decompress with streaming and with like games, and feel like I can unwind and not worry about it. I have to talk to someone like, you know, get the shots in. And that's really good. And also just I've now like started to do things. Now going back to gym is probably one of the best things. Like it was such a hard like shift from like doing nothing, but like going to gyms is like satisfactory, like seeing yourself like doing things, and then just knowing that you've done enough that you can just be a bum at home,
I think as well, because I think after a stream, your mindset, next thing mindset is, okay, now let's make content. Let's edit VODs, videos, make content straight away. And because you think if you don't do it, then you won't get it done. Where you're not getting away from that stage. Suddenly you find out you're there, sat at your desk 7-8 hours working on stuff and not even left. So it's like, once the stream's finished, just giving yourself time, just take a longer break, just have a snack, watch some TV or YouTube, or just, again, like Rachel was saying, have that different environment, even if it's a different part of the room. It can make such a difference. And then you can go back to it with a fresher mindset, work on your stuff again. There's also the same time, like if you work on content, if you don't step away for a little bit, you may not see it how you want it to look, and you stuff like that.
If I don't take a break after I've done something intense like a stream or a panel or whatever it is, I just collapse, I can't do it. I need to go and find my cat, or go and sit on the sofa, or something. They're not very well at the moment, I'm very stressed. They're like, it's a tangent, but anyway, you're all here now. And my mum sent me a video yesterday morning, and it's just like very ominous. It was just around my flans, and it's just this massive pile of vomit, and I'm like, brilliant. And so, I don't know why I was going with that, but anyway. But yeah, taking a break from screens is good. I often like go to like TikTok or something, just like something different to look at that I don't have to like actively engage with. I can just passively like, sorry. I don't know why I'm not me. Let's get that.
I think, like Warwick touched on this, that if you just like stay at your desk and you keep editing and focusing on what you've just been doing, you're not going to get the best content out of that either, because you'll be so in it. You're going to be tired, you're not going to be your best self, therefore you're not going to do your best work. So like rest and breaks are like important just to make sure you're okay, but also it means you're producing better content. So it all plays around in the end. So a lot of people feel quite guilty about rest and like that decompression stage, but actually if you see it as a task that is part of building your brand, that I have to rest to produce better content, then it kind of all comes around as being like part of the work. And just all filters. And also like we're giving you ideas of like art, self-care, but whatever it is that works for you. If you need a bubble bath, if you're gonna go for a hike, you're gonna dance around the kitchen, bake something, whatever it is that works for you, take that time to figure out what it is that makes you feel energized again, and just do that. Like, we've just got ideas.
I just feel like after a stream, like it's the most, I can like do any content, but after a stream is like the worst, not the worst time for me, but the most exhausting time for me.
Yeah.
Because you're staring at a screen, you're talking to like so many people, or talking to yourself, for hours on end. So afterwards I just feel like you forget that you're a human being and you need to look after yourself. Because I've done that so many times where I'm like, oh, finish a stream, oh, now I'm going to edit a video. And it's like, no, I've just literally done 4 hours work. And I feel like a lot of people forget that streaming is work. Even yourself, as a streamer, you don't see it as work, and it is. In terms of like getting people to help me, I don't really have my own team, but I'm guessing some of you guys do. So do you signpost things to different people?
Yeah, and signposting is such an important part of looking after yourself when you're on stream. So there's organisations like Samaritans, like Safe in Our World, who are there for you to direct people to if they're struggling in your chat. If you're multi-struggling, if your community's struggling, whether it's in Discord, live in chat, whatever it might be, ultimately your job is to entertain people. That's what you're there for, that's what you're enjoying. You're not there to be that listening ear necessarily. Like, you obviously care, you want to look after your community and make sure they feel cared about and they're doing okay. But you've then got to balance the needs of your whole community against any individuals who might be struggling. So that's where we come in. Like, let us be there for your chat. So I think the next slide is going to show you some signposting info that is some key organisations we recommend. So do feel free, put these in the chat, use them as chatbot commands, signpost, pin things in your Discord. We've got loads of copy-paste advice that you can just stick in your Discord server. Do feel free to grab me afterwards and can direct you to that kind of stuff. Same with Rosie. But let us be there for you when you just need to redirect that from your immediate space, because that's not necessarily your primary goal, and it's okay to direct people to the professionals.
Yeah, it also gives a lot of peace of mind if someone's coming in and you're like, I don't really know how to deal with this. If you already have a bunch of resources that you can just throw into chat and just be like, hey, these people know how to help you, or this is exactly what you need right now. I can't help in that specific way. That's okay. That is the best thing you could possibly do in that situation, is show someone the way to someone who actually is trained on how to deal with them, or actually has resources that are relevant to them that's not coming from you. So yeah, I 100% agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, and to be fair, I know a lot of streamers that have spoke about the Samaritans. They've actually reached out to the Samaritans, and I've seen that on their stories and how they spoke to them because they feel so stressed out by their jobs. And I feel like a lot of people forget that being a streamer is so stressful. There's so much to it, and sometimes you may not have people in your life who understand it. I know for a fact that when I first started streaming, my mum was like, what are you doing? What is this job that you've got? She didn't understand it. So if I was to complain, she would be like, what? You're complaining about playing games online for 6 hours? What? She didn't understand. So having these things are amazing, and really, really, it's just so important to have. And I feel like a lot of gamers don't understand that you can use these things. Anyone can use any of these things, to be fair. So yeah, it's perfect. Also, in terms of questions or anything, if anyone has any questions, there's 2 mics there. Yeah, any questions? That would be great. And if not, we'll go on to the next slide where you can find all about wonderful people.
I thought you were going to be a freestyle. If not, sometimes freestyles about to drop.
I can sing you a song. But yeah, I'm going to give all of these a follow. They're amazing. So yeah.
Okay, good. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah.
If you make up something, tell us about
Tell us about your
the
journey.
deepest confessions.
Yes. And any secrets?
How was your waffle?
Okay. Oh, we do have. Oh, secrets.
Crazy.
Oh, look at the mic. Oh, bless you.
I do have a question. How do you cope with toxic co-players when you're playing live on stream? For instance, I used to play League of Legends, which is known for being very toxic. So whenever I got to level 30, you were allowed to play ranked, but I never was able to get actually in a game anymore because the instance I went in, you get it, yeah, you're a girl, you're gonna make us lose, and they left. And then the people in my chat actually turned on me. So I didn't really know how to deal with that, so eventually I quit actually playing a game that I loved, which sucked. But how do you deal with that?
So, there's some things that, okay, I'm going to be honest, there's some people, there's just no way to get past some of it. It's unrealistic, but it can make people in your, community uncomfortable. So like I said, jokes are fun, but some things are too far, and you can't control that. So one, genuinely reaching out to people, do you want to play this game? So you know, the kind of person that's going to be on comms. You can read comms, and people say that, so that people don't hear it. But it's unrealistic sometimes when you need to communicate. So I generally just reach out to people on Twitter and say, I want to play this game, especially if I need comms. And some people that make YouTube videos use for trolling things people that have said about them to make content, which I also think is a waste for people to manage the toxic things that they hear, making a joke out of it, but also highlighting this is how terrible people can be. But for your own like sanity. And I think reaching out to a community, and there's so many people that do want to play because they're going through the same thing, and say like, do you want to play this so that you can play it on the stream and it's safer. Because that's better for you and your community. I don't think you should have to stop the game. And I know that's like not the best thing, but I like try to be realistic because there's no way that I understand like saying to someone like, hey, don't say that. They're not going to stop doing it. So if you want to enjoy something and still do it, reaching out to that community and then just being honest, like even what you just asked now, most people would be able to respond and like say some things. There's so many games that I've started playing and like I've been pushing it. But someone created to kill my role up there. But yeah, like as much as like you might be able to take it with other people, that it makes it kind of an unpleasant experience. But your cat's having on you,
It was also at the beginning of streaming, so
Yeah.
I don't know it very well yet.
Well, I hope you found a better community that support you through what you're doing, because your community should be behind you, and if they're going to bully you, they should be doing it in the nice, playful, supportive way, not the like actually mean, quite-putting way. And it's really hard, but yeah.
I hope you get to go back to it, because I think if you like a game, you should be able to play it like in a different way. Or if you want to YouTube it, I feel like, sorry, like if you want to make like content and like be able to edit it and stuff, then that might be safer because then you're like moderating what you're being able to do.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, off topic, I really love your little Disney bag. Very cute. Got a question, Luca?
Although I don't stream that actively or often, one thing I've noticed is that the type of things I stream make it so that I have an audience with like different levels of maturity, and I have sometimes noticed that can be conflicting. How would you deal with that?
Sorry, what was it? Like you have some stuff that could be.
Like, for example, you have 40-year-olds in like chat and 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they can be like very different people that
Yeah.
understand different things, and how do I deal with those different levels of maturity in each time?
I mean, it's just being honest, like with it. I think there's some twitches like that thing. Sorry, I'm just like talking
No.
okay, let's go. But there's different, they now got a thing that gives you a warning, which is also so dramatic. I was playing Final Fantasy and there's like a big sign before you go in there, beware. There's like hard things that go through. And I guess like sometimes that can be a bit off-putting for people because it makes it seem like I'm like murdering someone and it's just, you know, Clive. But I think like also being very conscious of what's happening beforehand. So if you know you're gonna like switch games or you're going to be switching on different topics, it doesn't make sense to do it in one stream, and being honest at the beginning because there's different types of content. I had to like go and talk to like some school children about like streaming and like transitioning into like TV and things like that, and it was really fun. And after like they were like, oh yeah, can we check out your Twitch stream then? Are we on the seat? You know, it's fine. And I think that's key, but also not being afraid of like, again, if you make different types of content, if you're doing some content on one side, so if you like make TikToks, for example, and then that's all a certain type of content, and it's not a surprise. But in general, if you're aiming for PG, you have to be consistent with that. You can't like just randomly pick up the E's, like it's just a lot. Yeah.
Right, thank you.
You can also put like an 18, is it an 18 like a...
Yeah, it does look mature. But you're saying if you want to make content for both. But sometimes some people just love a game. Like people, like for example, like when people were playing Zelda, everyone was watching that and like everyone enjoyed it. And so if the content, if the game is just like fun and no one enjoy it, it's more about what you're putting in there and how you're reacting to it as well.
Oh my god. Yeah, and also like if you play a PG game, just like don't swear or talk about like adult topics. So for me, if I'm playing like a cute game, I know that I'm going to have viewers that come in that are going to be younger. So I'll make sure like the topic of conversation is PG. But if I know if I'm playing an 18+ game, I'm just going to say and do what I want really.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the only way that I've been able to combat that. Anything else? Yeah?
Yeah, great answer. So.
Okay, well, we've got another
Thank you.
question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, hello. Just want to say thank you so much for the topic discussion today. I think it's such an important topic in gaming, so yeah, really insightful. Bit of overlap with the first question, but I think it segues quite well. It's very personality-led streaming. So how have you got some tips to deal with almost like depersonalizing, especially when you have like toxicity or maybe, you know, difficult performance? How do you separate yourself, your sense of self, with your streaming persona?
Mate. I'll let you go, because I'm going to be... Do you know what? Like, you know, can I tell, like, some of the... I've got a little brother, so some of the hate raids, when they were coming in, some of the stuff was so diabolical, but I didn't even get upset. I was just like, where did you get that from? I didn't know that. Like, the hate in your heart. And I think, like, you had to harden your skin a little bit. There's some things that obviously affect the rest of the community, and I don't mean like, oh yeah, you just have to take it. But I started to be like, other people's opinions of me are not my business. There's literally nothing that I can do that's gonna like change. Like if someone comes in and they're like, you're black, I'm like, yeah. And the rest, yeah, I feel, and also there's so much more positive things that happen on stream. But the other things, you just like take it and you're like, oh yeah, I'm nothing. So I definitely like, oh, I don't know, it's not so cheesy, but I used to write down like the compliments, like people that I've said. And then I was like sobbing and I'd be like, oh, my foot. No, I know, but you know when it feels like, because like sometimes I'm like, I've got a hug, like,
we focus on the negatives.
Yeah.
We focus on them and think that's all that is us. So it's hard to think, oh, that one last comment that was there, you forget that because there's like toxic there.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think again, what we're talking about breaks and stuff, just stepping back, it allows you to see things from overall and go, actually, there was some nice stuff, I actually feel right, and these things that people said that I don't like.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
And also, I feel like the internet's not a real place sometimes. I used to get so upset, like, I go on Twitter and I'm like, there's so much, like, it stressed me out that I'd like deactivate, and then I'm like, oh, I need this to drop, so there's so much stuff, and especially when you're streaming. But when you start doing things and you start talking to normal people, and that was like, when I say normal people, I'm like, this is sort of normal, but when you start talking to people, and then you start telling them things, they're like, what words are you saying, Cass? What do you mean IRL? What does that mean? Or like, someone called you this. And I'm like, oh yeah, someone on the internet. And they're like, and I just feel like I'm talking about NPCs. Sometimes you have to step out and be like, this is actually unrealistic how much I care about, like, job and labour numbers, like, England, like, saying, like, you know, I should
It's all like numbers, isn't it?
yeah, it's just so really, it's just like, and I think most of the time, and people that troll as well, I started to like engage with my trolls a little bit, like not ones that are horrible, but people are like you're terrible at the game, and I'm like, yeah, I am, and they're like, alright, I was doing a beauty and art, this is now a therapy session, sorry, I was doing a beauty and art stream, and someone came in and they were like, where's the beauty? And I was like, oh, okay, and then he ended up saying, he's on my month now.
I feel like that happens a lot when you like go back and forth with your trolls.
Yeah.
And they're being like, I like you.
Yeah, I think sometimes people just want attention and they can either pay for it or you can just like, oh, that funded stuff.
End of a sensible, boring note as well. Just talk it through. Like, it's really not, you're not always going to be able to like depersonalize things. And that's okay as long as you're talking to people about it, you're getting the support, like whether you're using self-help apps or you're using like listening services or you're just talking to your friends and family, like, just about talking it through and not just having it all in your own head to fester makes such a difference. I appreciate that's not like the fun vibe you've got here, but
There's a professional one. I think that like semi-answered the question.
Thank you. I think we have room for 2 more questions.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'll just hold it. Hi. So one thing I was thinking about throughout the whole panel was, I think like the main thing I struggle with is like guilt. Especially as like a marginalised student, so I'm transgender and disabled. So people come in and they'll want to ask you difficult and it feels really hard to ban those people. I don't know if you guys have, or you both have experience with that, and how can you help with it?
It's difficult because that guilt will always be there, and it's easy to say, oh, just ban them, and it's fine, but that guilt will be like, oh, should I have done that, should I have dealt with that differently? All I will say is, it is your space, it's your community, you do what you want with that. If you want these people in it, then great, if you don't, that is okay. And that, at the end of the day, if you can step back and go, I did the right thing for me, then that's all you need, really.
It gets easier with time as well. Like the first time you do it, it will be absolutely terrifying. Oh my god, I've done this is stressful. Second time it's like, yeah, still terrified. But like it's setting the tone, isn't it, for what you think is acceptable to hold in your space. And you need to be comfortable in your own space if you're spending hours sat in a screen feeling weird or judged or, you know, just uncomfy in any way. Like that isn't okay. Like you should always feel comfortable in your own space. And so yeah, I think it is just getting used to it is like one of the harder things, but it will get easier.
Are they like good faith questions, or are they like trolling questions? Is it a curious question?
It's so hard to tell because it will be like, oh, I can see you have like the transgender tag. What is transgender? And like you can't tell if they're about
they're definitely
about.
So I like to like direct people with like a exclamation mark. Okay, you're asking this, and then when they're like troll questions, then it's there. So like, you know, you can have a command like what is that, and like whatever. It can be whatever it is. But if it's a genuine question, you can direct them to wherever and say like, I'm not going to do this, but I might have if you want to ask me this on like another point, I might have like these are some resources. But most of the time, when I first started, I didn't realise people were trolling me when they were asking questions. But ones that are regular that come up, you can do that. And also, I like to mute words, like, muting and blocking is my favourite thing in the world. I just do it for just fun. So
the tools are there.
Yeah. And like, if you're just gaming, you're not necessarily doing an educational stream. So just be like, you know, that's a really good question. I'm like doing FAQs at the end of the month, so I'm going to save that in, and then I'm going to add that like to that. If they genuinely care, they'll be like, okay, great, thanks. If they don't, block.
So much of it is like being prepared ahead of time to know what you're comfortable sharing and like which questions you will answer, because you can usually kind of predict the sort of things that will come up, and just like being ready and prepped that you know what you're comfortable answering, how much you want to say, where you like might feel like that's gone too far, and just also FAQs panels as well. There's a really great way to like answer some FAQs. So you just be like, hey, look below. I'm not answering that today. It's already written down.
Yeah. I had a really weird time once where I think I mentioned I was introverted, which shouldn't be like an outrageous thing to say, like, right? And then someone was like, oh, do you think it's because like you struggle to make meaningful connections with people? I was like, damn, okay. Where did this come from? And I was like, obviously, this is my Twitter DMs, and I was like, oh, do I know you? They TM'd me so many times. Like, it started off with like innocent questions, like you're saying they were just asking, and then suddenly it got really deep, and I was like, boundaries. Yeah. So then I said, I was like, this is really inappropriate. I feel really uncomfortable, and then like blocked them. But still, like, I think it is hard sometimes to tell whether it's genuine or whether it's just someone trying to be weird and gross with you. So yeah, if they ever feel like it's got out of hand, just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
or ignore.
You made good points about like keeping it separate as well, because I like to educate people. So the idea of like saying, we're not going to talk about this now, but maybe.
Another stream.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Great question.
I think we've got two others here, and then the woman that has a dragon on her face.
It's an awesome dragon. It's very cool.
Hello. I haven't been able to stream consistently because of my mental health, and I ended up taking a big break because, mental stuff, life, and I did it without telling my community at all. Like, it was kind of a given based off of the on and off, but I was wondering what was the best way to come back after taking a mental health break, like to streaming.
Oh, I love mental health.
I think the first thing is just take it easy when you want to come back. Like, don't feel like you have to come back all underneath and have a big spectacle. Just do what's comfortable for you. If it's just a very small, maybe a 1 hour, 2 hour stream, just being back on just to get back into the feel of things. And just see what works for you. Go back to what maybe you played before, what you did before, and just sort of just ease back into it. Don't feel like you have to jump straight back into it, because then you may feel you're going to get back to that point where you have to take a break again, sort of thing.
Do you want to answer questions about like why you've taken a break, or do you want to just come back and be like, hey?
I don't want to go too in depth about it because it feels like it felt at one point like I was having a short break and then coming back and being like, sorry, mental health, and then it was on repeat like 5 or 6 times, and it felt a bit repetitive, and like I was making excuses at that point.
Yeah. So come back with like a fun stream doing something that is like so busy that you can't really answer questions. Want to distract, have enough things like the shining lights going on, like do something that's really fun and upbeat, and you're just like, hey, and then also panels is a good idea, I like that. And if you've got like a Discord, say, I'm going to take breaks every so often, you can be consistent with your inconsistency as well. So you can be like, I'm going to take breaks every so often, and when I do, this is ways that like you can like still connect with me. I might just drop things in here, I might like send like pictures to let you know I'm still like thriving. But I'm not going to do stream because you're just not going to get like the energy that you want, and I can't do that. But when I do come back, here's what we're going to be playing next. So have like little things where you're doing updates and you don't have to engage. And then when you do come back, and that's why I was asking what, like, if you wanted to, because when I come back after a break, I might be like, oh, I'm going to do like an art stream so I can talk. Or if I don't want to talk to people, I'm going to do something that's so busy, like, oh my gosh, we're playing Final Fantasy, sorry, it's a cutscene me. And then you actually get back into it, and then, like, yeah, hopefully.
Please don't feel like you owe your chat, your mental health journey at any point. Like, you can take a break for whatever the reason, and if you want to share that, that's great. But if you aren't comfortable with that, that's also okay. And you can just say, hey, I've been away, I'm back. That's fine. That's more than enough. You don't owe anybody your mental health journey or your story or any reasons. And anybody that does not appreciate and respect that, again, block, grid. You don't need that kind of toxicity in your community.
Thank you
I
very
hope
much.
you enjoy your time back.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi. So I have a question. For those of you who have commitments outside of streaming, for instance, like if you're working on branded projects at the same time, maybe that's with streaming, if you're working on sponsorships, or if you're working just as part of an everyday job. When you're working, that obviously can take quite a toll on you after a while, but those commitments have to be done because you have a responsibility. How do you go about self-care, managing everything when you know you can't take a break? Even when your communities are telling you need to take a break from this, but you just have these responsibilities in your life, so how would you go about managing those?
So I think there's different levels of it. So there's a break that, like you said, like, so I disrespect Mel because we're like friends, but when we're doing like grinding for a project, when people are like, oh no, just rest, you've got a deadline, and people aren't paying bills, so you have to make sure like you get to it. But I think there's different ways that you can self-care. So putting reminders on to like drink and to eat, and then having someone to like be able to like release that pressure with is still a way that you're like looking after yourself. Or like collabing. Mel did something the other day, which is great with asking this question. She has like loads of stuff to do and had deadlines, but was also feeling like, okay, I need to stream. So she did a working stream and literally just sat there, took her calls, did her editing. Sometimes she'd be like, I'm going to meet because I can't talk about what I'm doing. So then there's that, like, it eases you a little bit because it's less lonely. Two, you don't feel so bad, like, oh, here's another stream that I'm like missing and like I want to stream. And three, you're actually getting your job done, and there's the satisfaction of that. And I like small wins as well. So if I've got a big project, I like to just like tick things so I feel like my life is kind of going well. So I'm just like, hey, I moved my legs today. Oh my god, look at me move. So I feel like just doing that and seeing like that. But when you've got your first task is edit a video that's 4 hours, and it feels like you've done nothing the whole day. So breaking that into it, and also being honest with people, I think is really good. And then start planning for what you're going to do when you do stop, instead of taking on another project immediately.
Also, I kind of feel like people can see how much work you put in, right? Like, you put so much into what you do, and if anyone has any complaints, it's like, how, literally, like,
But sometimes I don't think they do see it. I think people, when you're like streaming, they don't necessarily see like all the stuff if they're not streamers as well.
yeah.
They don't necessarily see the like the toil it takes, or like if you're editing videos, or if you go to an event and like all the stuff, they don't necessarily get that. So they're just like, oh, you haven't turned up again for me. And I'm like, I took a shower today and that was the room. So
Exactly. I made my bed.
Yeah.
But I mean with like all like the makeup stuff that you do,
Yeah.
all the special effects, that doesn't just take 2 minutes. And if you have to say, look, I can't stream today because I've spent 7 hours doing this special effects job, and they don't get it, then that's the type of people that you don't want in your community, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't want those people that are just want you to be like a workhorse, work. You just need, you know,
disappointed.
Yeah.
It was a perfect opportunity to sing that.
yeah, shut up. But I'm not going to. But yeah, okay. I think we need to wrap it up now. So a big thank you for all of our panelists. You're absolutely amazing.
Thanks everyone. Thanks so much for being here. I know it's like late in the day, but I hope you've been like,
If
and
anyone
have fun.
had any questions that they didn't want to ask from the group, do feel free, grab us for a few minutes outside, feel free. We don't bite, we're not big people.